let me load the file. So in the previous case, I think the last visualization that we looked into was the maps. Okay, so let's resume from there. Now we will see some of the advanced visualizations. Okay, so sometimes what we have to do is we have to show the targets, right? So in case if I want to show the targets, okay, then in that case I have two options available to me. The first option that is available to me is called as gauge, okay, and the second option that is available is called as KPI. Okay, so in KPI and gauge, what I can do is I can show what is the actual value and what is the value that we have achieved. Okay, so let me show you that. Load. Okay, and we will need one more file, so I'll load chart.xlsx file. Okay, yeah, so we'll load the chart.xlsx file also. So funnel, gauge, KPI, scatter, waterfall. Okay, so the next visualization that we will see is this gauge visualization. So like I said, gauge visualization is used to show the actual versus target achieved. So in case if I want to show what was the target and how much I have achieved, then in that case I can use the gauge visualization. Okay, so let me click on gauge. So your gauge visualization usually looks like a speedometer, and within that speedometer you can see how much we have achieved, how much we have reached with the help of the colors. Okay, so that is how your gauge behaves. So now in case of gauge, you have minimum value, maximum value, target, and the value section, right? So minimum would be the minimum value, and then afterwards followed by the maximum value. That would be the maximum value within that speedometer or gauge. Okay, and then we'll have another option called as value. So value would be the actual value that we have achieved. Okay, and then we will have the target. Okay, so let's start now. So for that gauge, let's use this gauge data. So let me show you this gauge data here. So in case of gauge, this is the table. So in this table you have minimum value, you have maximum value, you have target. Now let's say if I want to show it like how much has been achieved, how much has been done, like that. Okay, so in that case let's take the value. Now in case of value, the value is 60k. Okay, 60,000. So let's drag the value here in the value section. What happens when you drag the value to the value section? the value is 60,000. So it will automatically assume that the minimum value is 0. Maximum value, it will calculate by multiplying the value by 2. So 60K into 2 is 120K. So maximum value is automatically assumed as twice, and you have achieved 50%. That's why the gauge is colored here in 50%. Okay, exactly in the center. Now let's say if you want to add something, let's say if you want to change the maximum value. So my maximum value is 150K. If I pull the maximum value in the maximum value section, you can see the maximum value now is 150K, and based on this 150K, the gauge has automatically adjusted the value to be at 60K. That is how you can show the gauge value. Okay, and in here, if I want to show the target, so to show the target, I have this target value field. Okay, so I'll just pull this target and I will add it in the target value section. So when I add the value in the target value section, the target is added. Okay, so this is my 60K and the target was 90K, and this is the gap between the gauge. Okay, so this is what I have failed to achieve. So like this, you can show it. Minimum value is of course 0, and it's always 0, so no need to add it. Yeah, so this is how your gauge visualization will look like. Okay, now in case of KPI, so KPI visualization will also show you whether you have achieved your target, whether you have not achieved your target, but its representation of information is bit different. So to represent it in a different fashion, okay, we have KPI. In case of KPI, if you achieve your target, it is shown in the green color. If you don't achieve your target, then it is shown in the red color. So let me show you that. Yeah. Okay, so in this case, this is my KPI. In order to plot KPI, we will always need a date axis, a column which has date, and we need to pull that date column in the trend. Okay, and we cannot use here date hierarchy. By default, it will take the dates. Okay, so for that, let me take this financials. From this financials, I will pull this date column here and the sales column here. So what it will do is it will combine, or it will plot the data based on dates, and it will show me here. Okay, this is how the data here is plotted. Okay, and in this case, you can clearly see the total sales achieved is 12 million over the time. Here you cannot see x-axis and y-axis, so in the background it is just showing how the sales went, how the sales started and how the sales end with respect to the date. Now in here, like I said, we can add our target also. So if you want to add the target, you can add the target goals here. Okay, so let's say if my target was 12 million, and let's say if my target was 11 million and I achieved 12 million. Okay, so in that case, what will happen is, let's say I had a target called as 11 million. So in this case, you can clearly see your target or the goal was to achieve 11 million, but you achieved 12 million. So there is a growth of plus 9.08. So that's why the value is shown in the green color with the tick mark. Okay, and in fact, the background color is also shown in the green color. But let's say if your target was 13 million and you achieved 12 million, that means you didn't achieve it. So in that case, the same value is shown in the form of red color. So your target was 13 million, you achieved 12 million. So red, the value is shown in the red color with an exclamation mark. The percentage is also calculated. So minus 7.7%. So you missed your target by 7.7%. That is how this value is shown here. Clear with this? So in this case, you can format it. You can change the color of this axis also. This is a bit faded, but if you want to change the format of the KPI, you can change it from here. So you have this trend axis here. You can see the transparency set to 20%. If you set it to 50, you will see the darker color. See, this is the dark color that you see when it comes to the trend axis. Okay. Now, another thing is with respect to the color coding of this value. Now, why we need color coding? Sometimes when you talk about KPIs, always achieving or crossing the KPI is not considered as good. Sometimes staying within the KPI value is also considered as good. For example, when we talk about the number of client escalations. So when we say number of client escalations as 12, we always want to achieve the number of client escalations below 12. In that case, crossing that escalation is not considered as good, right? So in certain cases, crossing the value is good. In certain cases, not crossing the value is also good. So that setting you can control it from this color coding. Okay, so in color coding you have two options. One is high is good, the other is low is good. So high is good means value, if you cross the target, if you cross the goal, then that is considered as good. And if you select low is good, then that means if the value is within the limit below the goal, then that is considered as good. For example, in this case, high is good is set, and you can see the target was 13, you achieved 12, so it is shown in the red color. But same thing if I change it to low is good, so in that case, staying below 13 million is good. That is why the color is shown in the green. Okay. Similar to this, you can change the color for good, bad from here. So green is blue, sorry, good is green, then bad is red, and obviously neutral is the amber color, yellow color. Okay. So that thing you can change it from here. If you want to add the date, you can add the date here with the help of this date. Okay, so here it will also show you the date, the last date of that specific column. That is also possible from here. Okay, so this is how your KPI behaves. So in KPI and in gauge, we can actually show the targets, and based on target, we can plot the values. Any questions, anyone?
So can we set in the gauge chart? Can we set the target 90K at 150K? That location.
Sorry, I
So
didn't
that
get your question. This is the
so
90K target.
90K can we shift at the full level, that is at the location of 150K, so
Yeah,
that we can get the correct visualization.
you can do anything. Pulled the maximum value from here. If you don't pull that, and if I pull the target in the maximum, now this is how it will look like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think this is the correct visualization.
I mean, up to you how you want to show it, because sometimes uh, people have different expectations from that speedometer. What they want to say is this is the maximum possible, but the target is this much. So usually target is not what the last value is in case of certain KPIs or in case of certain metrics. In case of certain metrics, it is the last value. So both the representations are proper. I was coming to the next question. So there are more advanced gauge visualizations which are available, which you can download from here. So you can click on this three dots and you can click on get more visuals. When you click on this get more visuals, it will ask you to enter your user ID and password. Okay, so let me text you. So the user ID is Nidhi @sparkwest.in. Save this ID. Okay, note it down somewhere, and the password is 202. So once you enter this user ID and password, this is the screen that you see. So here you will get lot of visualization. So from here, if I select gauges, see the type of options that I have. So I can have circle gauge, I can have advanced pi, I can have dial gauge, I can have tachometer. Then same thing I can show in the form of box also. So I have linear gauges also. So in linear gauges, you can show it, tachometers. So these are all visualizations that you can use. Okay. An important thing to remember here is wherever there is written something like this may require additional purchase. So in that case, you will have to pay for that visualization. Okay. And in certain cases, the visualization is free. So in that case, you can download them. For example, when I click on this tachometer is free. This is available free of cost. So you can pull it and you can draw your visualization accordingly. So I can pull this. I can click on this add button. and my visualization is added. So if you see here, a visualization is added here. Okay, so in tachometer also I can show the targets. So in this case, the difference between gauge and tachometer is, in here you will see that flickering icon, the needle moving. Okay, so let's say my value is 60K. See, you can see the needle at 60K. This is your 60K needle. Now if you want start value and end value, so I'll say start value is 0 and end value is 150K. See, now the gauge is automatically adjusted and it is showing you the value at this level, 60K. Okay, so again you can do the formatting, and like you want to add the target, you can add the target here also. So I can pull this target value here, you can see the line. Okay, so this is also one of the gauges that you can use. Okay, then sometimes people use that circle gauge also. Circle gauge is used to show the percentages, so even that can be used to show the respective percentages. Okay,
This is not certified, right?
sorry,
Not certified visualization.
no, this is certified. This is certified.
How we identify which one is certified or?
You will see a green tick, sorry, blue tick. So when I click on gauge, you see this blue tick. So when I put my
Yes.
cursor on this, it says Power BI certified. That is my certified visualizations. But in here, you will see some visualizations, they will not be certified. Okay, so those visualizations you shouldn't use in your reporting. See this is not certified.
Okay.
So this is called as the not certified visualization. Okay, so we shouldn't use this visualization. Anyways, clear with this? Any questions? Okay, I'll show you one more visualizations from the app source. So you might have seen a lot of people uploading one video on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter where there are multiple bars, and these bars, they are running across the time, right? One bar moves ahead, then another bar moves ahead, like that. We have seen it, right? You might have seen that video, right? A lot of people upload it. So if you want to create that type of video, you have a visualization in Power BI called as animated bar diagram. So you can create animated bar diagram also. Just type here animated. This is my animated bar chart. Okay. So in here, if I click on add, I can create an animation. As you can see, this is not certified. So you might have seen a lot of people using it over the YouTube. Okay, just for personal statistics like ODI runs, most ODI runs, most World Cups, most Olympic medals, like that. So for those type of visualizations, they might have used it. So you can click on this animated bar chart. An important thing to remember here is that whatever visualizations that I have pulled from the app source, they are for this report only. Okay, they are not for Power BI desktop completely. So that means when I close this and when I open it the next time, I will not see these visualizations. Okay, so let me pull some fields.
Do we have to always need to pull these custom reports whenever we need?
Yeah, sometimes it's needed. Okay, because like I said, some of the KPIs, they may not be, they may not, some of the visualizations, they may not give you the satisfactory representations. Okay, it's all about representation. Okay, it has to represent the numbers or the information properly. So if something doesn't work with the default visuals, then we go for the next visualizations, the other set of visualizations. Okay.
Is there any way that we mark some as a favorite so they can be available always?
No, that is not possible. That's not the case. It's very report specific if I tell you, because even loading the visualization, sometimes they take time and sometimes they take space. Okay, and sometimes they also require purchases. For example, we have seen maps, right? We also have Google Maps in Power App Source, but Google Maps will require additional purchase. You'll have to actually buy it. Okay, so in that case, that will not work if you don't buy it. So that is why these things should be specific to per report. That's why we don't have any favorites or any option to mark that. Okay, moving on. So this was your animated bar chart. Now in animated bar chart, let me add product, and then let me add the sales. Okay, now that I've added product and sales, let me add the date here, and let me change the date hierarchy to date. Now see the bars. I'm not playing anything. This is on autoplay. Okay, so based on the entire date, it is actually playing it all along. Okay, so like this, you can create any animated bars. You can compare which thing started first and which thing ended first, like that. Those type of information you can show it in this animated bar chart. But for personal use, this is fine. But for professional use, corporate use, you will not use it, because usually the graphics and GIFs and this type of play settings, they take time, and it may work on your machine very fast, but on some others machines or maybe on the Power BI service, it might work slow. Okay, that is one of the reasons. Okay, so that was your KPI and gauge. The next visualization that we will see is the scatter chart. So this is my scatter chart. Okay, let me click on the scatter chart here. Yeah, so usually the scatter chart is used to detect outliers. In case of scatter chart, both x-axis and y-axis values are numerical. So in our school days also, we used to plot the points based on x and y values. Scatter chart is exactly similar to this, but in here we do not connect the dots. We keep the dots as is to understand the pattern of the data. So like I said, scatter chart is used to understand the outliers. So outliers are something which do not follow the pattern of the data. Okay, so your data would obviously be moving in certain specific directions, or it would be grouped. When you plot them, you'll actually able to identify which is what group. But sometimes what happens is some of the points or some of the data rows, they do not follow that pattern. So in order to detect such points, we use the scatter chart. So as I said, in case of scatter chart, usually the x-axis value and y-axis values are numerical. So for this case, I have taken an example of this scatter table. So in this scatter table, I have house prices with respect to the living area. So first column is the living area, which is storing in the living area, and the second column is the sale price. So sale price is actually storing the sale price, the respective sale price with respect to the living area. So I have these many rows, 1460 rows. Now what I want to do is I want to see how the living price area or how the living area uh, affects the sale price. So for that, I can use the scatter chart. I have selected the scatter chart here. Now in the x-axis, I will pull living area, and in the y-axis, I will pull the house prices. So here, let me take scatter living area. So living area, I will put it in the x-axis, and sale price, I will put it in the y-axis. Now, since living area and sale price both are numeric, so by default, when you pull that into x-axis and y-axis, they are summarized. So sum of both the living area and house price is performed, but we don't want to summarize them. We want to analyze them individually. So select the summarization to don't summarize for x-axis and for y-axis. Now this is how a scatter chart looks like. So all the 1460 data points are plotted on the axis, and you can see the points plotted with respect to living area and the sale price. Now, like I said, we use the scatter chart to understand the trend of the data. From here, I can clearly understand that the data points are moving towards the towards the center. From center, they are moving towards the upward direction. But let's say if I want to understand the trend of the data, I can go to analytics span, and in the analytics span, I can select and I can add the trend line. So trend line will actually show me where my data is heading. So when I plot this, I can see with the help of trend line where my data is heading. So you can see my data is heading linearly, meaning as the living price increases, my sale price also increases. And to prove that point, you can see almost every point is either above the line or just below the line. Okay. So in this case, you can see this point, the living area is 324, price is 39K. When you see this point, okay, the highest point, so here the living area is 4476 and the sale price is close to 745K. So that means living area and sale price are directly related to each other. Okay, so as the living area increases, the sale price also increases. Okay, but at the same time, I see these 2 points which are going towards the downward direction. They are never close to the line. They are moving towards the x-axis and they are moving away from the actual trend. Okay, so what are these points? So if you see this is your 4476 and 745K. So that means data is moving in upward direction. But when you compare this point, the ground living area is approximately similar, in fact more than the earlier point, but the sale prices vary. Similar is the case with this data point. In this case also, the living area is 5600, but the sale price is 160K. Okay, so in this case also the living area is increased, but the sale price is still decreased. So this is not, these 2 points are not following the regular trend of the data. That is why we call these 2 points as our outliers. Clear with this? Any questions any questions regarding how to understand or how to detect the outliers?
Can we add clusters to this scatter plot?
You can have clusters also. That is also possible. So for coloring the clusters in different colors, you can use this legend field also. Okay, that is also possible. Okay, but usually when we say scatter, we always talk about this scatter plot. Okay,
Got it.
okay. Now this is your scatter chart. Now in case of scatter chart, we can always analyze the numerical points. That means x-axis, y-axis, you plot the point, you get the data, you use it. As simple as that, right? But sometimes I want to analyze the entity at the aggregated level also. For example, I have my financial sample. In financial sample, I have sales and profit. I don't want to analyze the sales and profit like one value. What I actually want to do is I want to analyze the total sales and total profit. And I want to analyze them with respect to the different dimensions or different non-numeric columns. So in that case also I can use the scatter chart. So let me create another scatter chart here. This is my scatter chart. Now in this case of scatter chart, I will take sales to my x-axis and profit to my y-axis. So this is my total sales and this is my total profit. So that is why I see only one dot. Now let's say I want to expand this and I want to understand how this sales and profit is split across products and segments. So for that, I can select this product and I can add it into the details section. Similar to this, I can also add this segment here. So I'll just drag the segment and I will add it in the legend field. So you can see these are my dots which are plotted on the scatter. Now this is also showing me the scatter chart, but this is showing me the scatter chart for aggregated entities. Now if I want to understand the trend, for trend I can go to analytics and I can add the trend line. So when you add the trend line, you will see where the data is heading. So data is heading linearly towards upward direction. So in this case, most of the points are above and below the line, meaning they are following the trend of the data. So till that point, it is fine. Okay. Now till this point, this is your scatter chart. Now apart from that, we have been given two more fields here. One is called as size, the other is called as play axis. Okay, so with the help of size and play axis, I can make this scatter chart as scatter and bubble chart. So we have seen bubble in case of map. So whenever you add anything into the size field, the size of the bubble increases. So size of the bubble increases based on the value that you add. For example, if I add profit in this size column, whichever bubble has higher profit, that bubble will be in higher size, and whichever bubble has lower profit, that will be shown in the smaller size. So you can see these bubbles have lower profits. On the other hand, this bubble has highest profit, like that. Okay, so now this is not scatter chart anymore. This is your scatter and bubble chart. Okay. And in here, I have a play axis button. So whenever you add any field, typically the date field in the play axis field, what will happen is a play button is added just below the scatter chart. And when you click on that play button, your scatter chart is played. Okay, so let me pull this year field here in the play axis. So the moment I add this year field here, you can see a play button here. So this is my play button. This is 2013 and this is 2014. So when I click on this play button, my visualization is played. So you can see the points being moving here. I'll just play it 2 to 3 times so that everybody can see. So because of that play button, you can see the dots moving from 2013 to 2014. So at 2013, they are at different positions, and from 2013 to 14, wherever they were, they move towards that direction. Okay, that is how the play axis works. Now, in case of play axis, if I want to show how the data points moved from 2013 to 14, I have an option. So in order to show this data point, how this data point started from 2013 and where it moved to 2014. So for that, all you have to do is just put the cursor on the bubble and press Control left click. When you do the Control left click, a line is plotted from starting from the starting position to the ending position. So starting position is 2013, ending position is 2014. I can plot this line for multiple dots. So this is one of the lines, then this is one of the lines, then this is one of the lines, like so on. And when you click on play button, you will see the bubble playing along that line. So see that. So you can see your dots playing along the line. So that is also possible in case of scatter chart. So this is your scatter chart. Clear with this? Any questions? So usually this is the scatter chart which we usually use in data analytics, the left one. Okay, most of the people are aware about this scatter chart only because this is common for all the data analytics, whether you do it through Python or whether you do it in Tableau, Power BI, anywhere. This is how the scatter chart is plotted and is used. This is kind of a customized version available in Power BI where you can add play axis, where you can increase the bubble size and those things. But yeah, that is also one of the scatter charts. Okay, the next visualization that we will see here is your waterfall chart. Now, in case of waterfall chart, what happens is every increment is shown in the form of the increase in the positive direction, that means towards the upward direction in green color, and every decrease is shown in the downward direction in the red color. Okay, so usually the waterfall chart case is very specific. As the name suggests, it is going to show you the waterfalls. So in case of waterfalls, what will happen is every increase is shown in the upward direction in green color, and every decrease is shown in the downward direction in the red color. And waterfall chart is usually not used on a column, single column. It is usually used not a single column, or I would say the scalar value. It is used on columns which are usually storing the delta. Okay, delta or change in value. For example, your stock market, when you see the stock market data, what you see there is This is your positive. This is the open value. This is your closed value. So in between close and open, sometimes the value is positive, sometimes the value is negative. So if value is positive, then in stock market it shows in green color. If the value is negative, it in stock market it shows in the red color. Same thing happens here. So consider this table called as waterfall. In this, you can see the date and the change in sales. Now, if you carefully note the change in sales column, the change in sales column has both positive as well as negative value. So first two values are positive, 10,000, 12,000. After that, I see a series of values as negative. And then afterwards, I again see some positives. And then eventually I see certain negative values. Okay. So that is how the change in sales is shown in case of this waterfall table. Now click on this table here and let me select this waterfall chart. Now let me pull the data from this waterfall chart. So in here I have date and I have change in sales. Now in order to show the positive increment and negative increment, we have to use the date, not the date hierarchy. So I'll use date here and I'll use change in sales in the value section. Yeah. So in here you can see date hierarchy is used. So that's why everything is positive. Let me change the date hierarchy to date. Now see the visualization. Now if you remember, the first two values were positive. The first one was 10,000, second was 12,000. So you can see this is my 10,000. After that, the next value is 12,000. So 10 plus 12 is 22, which is in the increment direction. But after that, the values eventually started becoming negative. So here you can see minus 13, then minus 14, then minus 15, minus 15, 5, minus 16. Then again the values become positive from here. So 10, then 11, then 12, then 13, 14, 10, minus 10, then again 20,000 and minus 20,000. And then in the end, the net sum is positive 8,500. Okay. So your waterfall chart will always show you the increment and decrement. So every increment will be shown in the green color and every decrement will be shown in the red color. Any questions in this? Okay. Okay. Thank you. The next visualization that we will see is the funnel chart. So has anybody heard of the funnel chart? Funnel chart is actually used a lot in case of the salespeople. Salespeople a lot of times talk about funnel, funnel, funnel. Anyone? Okay. So usually the funnel chart is used to track the leads. So usually the sales people, they always talk about funnel because they have to present what are the total number of inquiries or what are the total number of incoming cases that they have received. Out of that, how many are completed, how many are going to be completed next month, how many are going to be pending, why they are going to be pending. Those type of things are usually shown in the form of funnel. Okay, so that's what a funnel means in case of sales employees. So usually if I want to show my funnel, then I have a visualization called as funnel. So funnel usually helps us in showing the information in the form of funnel. That is why this is called as funnel chart. Okay, so usually the funnel chart is used to show the consolidated information. For example, if I give you the information like this, these are the total number of tickets. Out of total number of tickets, these many are closed, these many are open, these many are under investigation. So if I want to show those type of statuses and the respective counts, then funnel chart is the perfect candidate for that. So for funnel chart, I have this funnel table. Here you can see I have field, I have total number of inquiries. Okay, so in this case of field and total number of inquiries, I see the following data. So total number of inquiries. So total number of inquiries are there. So total I have 245. Then within this 245, the 120 inquiries are in new status, 80 inquiries are in open status, 20 inquiries are in progress status, 20 inquiries are in closed status, and 5 inquiries are in accepted status. Okay, so let's say if I want to create a funnel and if I want to show the funnel with respect to that, so in that case I can use this data. So let me use the field in the group and total inquiries in the values section. So when you use this, you can see this is how the funnel looks like. So your total is 245, then new is 120, then open is 80, then closed is 20, in progress is 20, and accepted is 5. And if you carefully observe, you have total 100% inquiries, and out of 100%, only 2% inquiries are closed. Okay, so out of 100, only 2% inquiries are actually accepted. The rest of the inquiries are still being worked upon. Now, when you put your cursor on one of the bars, you see more information. So like the field name is total, the total inquiries are 245, and this is the 100% of the total. Okay, now when you go to new, you see the field name is new, total inquiries are 120, and percentage of first is 120, 48.98. So if you divide 120 by 245, you will actually get 48.98%. That is what this visualization is showing. Exactly similar to this, you also see percentage of first and percentage of previous. So in case of this, when I'm at this bar, my first bar is total and my previous bar is also total. That is why the percentages are same. But when you move to open, see the difference. So in this case, the value is open, the total inquiries are 80. When you see percentage of first is 32.65. So when you divide 80 by 245, you will get 32.65. But when you see percentage of previous, in case of percentage of previous, you are trying to divide 80 by 120, which is the previous bar. So whenever you say previous, it will refer to the bar which is above it. So in this case, the bar which is above it is new, which has value 120. So when you divide 80 by 120, you get 66%. So in case of funnel chart, you can not only compare the value with the topmost bar, you can also compare the values with the subsequent bars also. That is also one of the use cases. Okay, that is why this type of funnel chart is used. So in case of funnel, I can compare it with the topmost bar and I can compare it with the respective bars also. If I represent the same information in case of table, in case of pie, all it will do is it will just show me the total percentages, which thing is how much percentage of what. But with respect to each other, how much percentage they are contributing, I think I will not be able to see it. Okay, so that is one of the reasons the funnel chart is used. Any questions, anyone?
Is it always from lower to higher?
No. It is totally up to us how we are designing. Okay, so usually in every visualization, we have the sorting mechanism. Okay, so you select your sorting mechanism and based on that, it will show it to you. Okay, for example, when you click on these three dots, for every visualization, you will have this option, whether you want sort ascending or sort descending. So when I do this, this is how it will look like. Okay, you can see the percentages have changed completely now because the values have changed, because 5 and 245 almost 249%. If you want to sort it by field, not by the total value, then you can select field also. So then based on field also it will show it to you. Okay, so this sorting is up to you how you want to do it. Okay, so I'll just change it to descending and I will change it to total inquiries.
Got it.
Yeah, so this is for everything. Okay, for every visualization, you have that sort by option. From that, you can select ascending, descending, and you can select the column by which you want to sort it. Okay, so that was your funnel. Now the last visualization for today is called as ribbon chart. So this is your ribbon chart. Now usually, as the name suggests, ribbon chart visualization appears like a ribbon and it is used to show the ranks. Okay, so if I want to see the ranks, then in that case I can use the ribbon chart. Okay, so this is my ribbon chart, but usually it is not used because this is very confusing to understand. Okay, you will know why it is not used, because of its visualization. Okay, so in this case I will be able to compare my data with previous bars and I will be able to calculate the ranks. This will be exactly like stack, but in this case, in case of stack, apart from stack, some ribbons will be added, and as the ribbons fold, the ribbons will move towards upward direction and downward direction depending on their ranks. Okay, so let me take financial data. From financial, I will take date in the axis and sales in the values. So this is my date, this is my sales. I will just change the drop down value from here to date. So this is my date and this is my sales. So till this part, it is looking like a normal bar diagram. So for every value, you have plotted a respective bar. Okay, so no difference so far, everything is normal. Wait till I add the legend. So let me add the legend in the form of product. Now see the difference. Do you see why it is not used? This is the reason why it is not used. So in this case, everything appears like a ribbon chart. So in the center, you see the same bar. This is my bar. So this is showing you your stacked data. So this is 3.2 million. This is 2.9 million. This is 2.8 million. Then 1.4 million, 1.2 million, and 632K. So this is your stack. But to the left of stack and to the right of stack, you see a fold. So this is what I called as fold, the left fold and the right fold. When I move to the right fold, it will compare my data with the with the next bar. So I am in the October month, 1st October 2014. Let's see when I move to the right hand side, what happens. So when I move to the right hand side, this is what I see. So in October, my sales was 3.2 million for VTT. In November, my sales is 921K. There is a decrement of minus 2.3 million, which is close to 71%. In October, my rank was 1. In November, my rank is 2. And the rank change is minus 1. So I am dropping by 1 rank. When I go to the left side of this bar, see the information. So in in September, my sales was for VTT was 2.1 million. In October, the sales is 3.2 million. So there is an increment of 1 million in sales, which is close to 50%. In September, my rank was 2. In October, my rank is 1. So there is an increment of +1 towards positive side. So that is my information. So like this, for every case, you will see that information. So on the right hand side, you will see the information comparison with respect to next bar. Here you can see that. And when you go to the left hand side, it will compare it with the previous bar and it will show you the rank. So since this structure appears or resembles a ribbon, that is why this is called as ribbon chart, and that is why this is used. But you can see the ribbons are difficult to read, ribbons are difficult to understand. That is why this is not used. Okay, so in order to show the ranks, I have a better representation. We call that as bump chart. So usually bump chart is used to show the ranks. Okay, this is also available in Tableau. In case of Power BI, it is not directly available, but using some other ways, some different ways, we can bring it to Power BI and use it. This is how the pump chart looks like. So in order to show ranks, we can use bump chart. Okay, so this is your ribbon chart. Okay, any questions? Okay, yeah. So that's it for today. I think we have covered the first row is finished, second row is finished, third row is finished, fourth row is also finished. In fifth row, we don't cover R and Py because for that we require Python and R setup. Okay, but if you want, I'll show you the Python. Okay, let me show you the Python script visual tomorrow. So maybe I'll try to create bump chart with the help of Python and I'll show it to you tomorrow. The next thing is key influencer. So key influencer is remaining. Decomposition we have already seen. Q&A we will see. Smart narrative we will see tomorrow. ArcGIS we have already covered. Power Automate and Power Apps are premium features, so we cannot use them. So around 3 to 4 visualizations pending. So we'll cover those 4 visualizations in tomorrow's session. And after that, we will start the filters and slicers. So this is all